How you guys doing? Welcome to Controversial Discussions. I'm Prophet Poe. And today we have another episode of Ask Prophet Poe. If you're new to my channel, basically what Ask Prophet Poe is a show in which I dedicate to answering a question from a subscriber. So feel free to subscribe, leave comments, your thoughts below. Thanks. Okay, so on today's episode of Ask Prophet Poe, we have a question coming from Caleb from Huntsville, Alabama. And Caleb's question is, Prophet Poe, how did you get to where you are now? And to kind of answer that question and understand what he's asking is, we both came from the same Christian denomination. Both our fathers were pastors. Both grew up in the same type of households, basically. And he's asking, how did I get from there to now to where I no longer believe in the things that were indoctrinated into me when I was younger? Well, first off, thank you for the question. We're glad to answer it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a few things or a few steps in which what I had to take in order to get to, let's get into where I am now. Now, I do have an episode that's going to come out that's going to be in more detail on my journey. However, this episode is just going to kind of address this question on how to even get to where I am now as far as thinking the way I think or whatnot. Okay, so what I want to also say is that this was not something that just happened overnight. Like I woke up and like, oh no, I no longer believe. No, that's not what happened. It was a gradual process for me. And so I think these are some of the steps that are part of that process. Okay, so the first thing that you need, number one, is you have to care. And basically what I mean by that is you have to care if what you believe is true or not true. You know, so I talk to some people that will tell me their beliefs, and then I'll say whatever, give them some type of rebuttal, and they'll come back to me and they'll say, I don't care what you tell me, I'm not going to stop believing the way I believe. And so basically, they don't care what you tell them. Nothing you're going to tell them is going to stop them from believing that. And so they don't care. And they're telling you right there. So people that don't care, you know, this show probably isn't for you. But if you're sitting watching it, you might actually do care and don't know. However, you have to care. Okay? Okay, so after you care, if you decide whether you care, whether you believe it true or not, for those who do care, if you care about what you believe is true or not, then the next thing you need to do, let's say the second thing that you need to do, is you need to start asking questions. What I started doing, I started asking questions. So I started asking questions about my beliefs. I started asking questions on Facebook. I started asking other people that were grouping my faith certain questions that I thought were just, you know, logical questions. And I realized that it could answer. However, I do realize that in my religion, growing up, and in a lot of other religions, we're taught not to question God. Okay? So if you start to ask too many questions, it's like you're questioning God. And I know some people that will say, well, I'm not questioning God, I'm questioning the Bible. Well, if you actually read the Bible, which a lot of you guys don't, in order to ask questions, you need to really start reading that sucker. So anyways, you guys, I'm not questioning the Bible, I'm questioning God. So anyways, what the Bible says is that God says, I am the Word, and the Word is me. I don't remember it exactly now because I hadn't read it in a while. But I'll put it right there. It's not easy. I'll find it for you. Put it right there. But that's basically what it says. So if God is the Word and the Word is God, and if you're questioning His Word, that means you are questioning Him. So that little cop-out of, oh, I'm not questioning God, I'm questioning the Bible. However, anyways, once you truly care about what you believe, you're going to start asking your questions. And that's what you got to start doing. You got to start actually asking your questions. Now, when you start asking these questions, this is the last or one of the last important steps that you're going to need to do is you're going to have to start to research. Now, when you do this research, now I got to be clear on this to make you understand, when you're doing your research, you got to do your research with an objective point of view, right? You got to look at it objectively. And what I mean by objectively is you can't go out and search for the answer of what you're looking for, because then you're leading yourself. It's basically a circular argument. I'll explain that in another episode, or you can just look it up on Google. Remember I would say go look up Google that shit. Okay, right. Anyways, so to explain a little bit better, I had to come up with another one of my examples or analogies. Okay, so when you're going out to get this information, or when you're doing your research, you can't do it as the purpose of, say for instance, I want to prove that Spider-Man is real. And so my objective is to prove that Spider-Man is real. And so I go out and, let's say for instance, I see a spider web. I don't see a spider anywhere. So that's got to be a sign from Spider-Man that Spider-Man is real. Right? And that's what I mean by you got to be objective. So you can't go out, basically it's a fallacy. You can't say, oh, I see the trees, therefore it has to, it has to be. No, you have to go out and look and have the evidence lead you to the truth. All right? Not make the evidence lead you to what you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Remember, you got to care about what if you believe it's true or not. Now, I'm going to tell you, the rabbit hole was deep for me. It went deep. Deeper than I thought. So, here I am now. But you have to research. And you have to research from an objective point of view. So, to kind of sum it up, basically you got to care if what you believe is true or not. Then you have to start asking questions about what you believe is true based off the reality that we see. And you have to research it to understand it more. Remember, I always say that to understand anything, you got to understand its history. Episode of Origin of Christianity coming out soon. Stay tuned for that. Some more things. Like I always say, thank you for listening. If you're going to believe in anything, believe in yourself. Y'all know I got issues. I'm out.